Alright, YouTube, so this is a re-recording because the first time I recorded this, it was about an hour long, and I thought to myself, I can consolidate everything to be less than an hour, just tackle on the important parts to the 2XKO update, just skip all the fillers. So it's re-recording, I'm trying to just get like the short and sweet stuff for you guys, stuff that actually matters, so let's get into it. The first thing we're going to be going through is the control scheme has changed.
But you got the wrong outcome. So what we did was you took a look at the controls and the gameplay. We simplified and consolidated a lot of these things. I'm going to start with the first one, launchers and anti-airs. So if you remember before in Alpha Lab 1, down heavy was your anti-air.
Yeah, there was down forward heavy was your launcher, and down heavy was your anti-air, which was a little confusing. So what they did is now they just made down heavy
your anti-air. Invincibility there. You can follow up with a combo, which is great.
It makes the game less confusing, which is perfect, which is great to have because there were just way too many options when you didn't need all those options at the start. Something cool about it is some characters still have their old anti-air, like Darius.
So this button for Darius used to be his anti-air. This is now forward and heavy, so you can still use it for pressure and combo routes and things like that.
So I think it's really cool that although it's no longer an anti-air, you can still use it for, just like Sean said, pressure, combos, strings, just like that. Like, it's cool. You could, maybe it still can potentially somehow work as an anti, right? It's still a big button, might as well try it. So this next thing, if you're a Dragon Ball player, you understand the issue here. Is overhead used to be forward and medium, right?
And we got
Dragon Ball players have dealt with forward medium being an overhead for years. So we're used to just dashing and hitting medium properly. But they changed it now.
Have overheads, they're now on down forward and medium.
Yeah, that's smart.
And we're trying to consolidate that.
So this was just more so of an issue. It was a little bit of a skill trick, but it was a skill trick that wasn't really needed. So I'm glad they found an alternative for it, and they also made everyone sweep down forward heavy. This is one of those things that's okay to homogenize. It's not a big deal. It just makes sense. It's in line with how they want the game to be played.
Down forward heavy. So anybody that has a sweep, it's on down forward heavy.
Alright, cool. So another thing they did is they changed the way you call your assist.
Wasn't very intuitive.
Because if you remember before, what it was back tag was one assist, neutral tag was your tag launcher, and then forward tag was your other assist. So you could mess up and do tag launcher when you want to call your assist. So this is what they did.
That does your old forward assist.
Or team, sorry, they call it
like
team now.
Holding back and hitting team, that does your old back assist.
So now you don't have that error of accidentally getting team launcher, is I guess what they would call it now. Tag launcher? I'm not sure, but whatever. That's besides the point. So it gets rid of that.
You might be wondering, like, well, hey, how
makes the controls way better.
Team for that. We want to make it consistent.
And this is smart.
If down and heavy is your launcher with anti-air properties, then down and team is your tag launcher.
Makes sense. It just makes so much sense across the board. Why is my launching move not a down command button? So I'm glad they went with this change. So the buttons aren't confusing as much as they used to be. The next thing they did is they got rid of running assist, which I think is a good idea because having your assist run out and then you just jump at your opponent was not fun or interactive. Like, look at these examples.
If they blocked it, you handshake tag, you do pressure. If they jump, you handshake tag, and then you jump and air throw or launch.
Yes,
anti-air.
That was too
hit the assist. Well, then you punch them with
one-dimensional.
So, on top of that, too, it actually allowed
the lack of a better way of putting it.
We really didn't.
So this next big change is that supers are no longer done by doing down. Now you do a super by hitting your special button and then one of your attack buttons, as shown here.
Get that super, so I can do M plus S1.
Yeah, medium S1.
S1 plus,
And it's just the same thing across the board. For your super 2, same thing, S2, L, M, or H. And then for your level 3, well, it's a level 3 now. It's S1 plus S2. Let's see. We're just talking about. Here we go. Yeah, S1 plus S2. And the biggest reason they made this change is because when people were dashing across the screen, you would hit down, dash, down, dash, down, dash, you would accidentally get a super. When you want to do dash, 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 S1, like Yasuo, you want to dash, then go into stance, and you get a super, and then you get blown up for it. So I think the
And
change
then
isn't
one topic
bad
about happy birthday
because you can't have. They don't want motion inputs.
Specifically, I know some of you might.
And this other thing about Happy Birthdays is huge too. They fixed the hit stop
Self-included,
that
David and
made
Alpha
assist
Labs. You
flip
got
out
this
of
happy birthday
combos.
Fox 9 over here, and you know one of the characters falls
Yeah,
out.
and you would get punished
It's
for
their
this,
point character,
but they fixed
and
this,
punish
so
you
it's no
while you're
longer an
starting your
issue.
combo. You're like, why did I get punished? For
You don't know
doing
how
that
many
character?
times I
So
lost
what is
matches
happening?
or like a tournament
So,
game
we reduced global
because of
pause and
this.
made some key
Let's
adjustments
look at this
to
example they're gonna give.
as well in order to remove some of those cases where the happy birthday would just drop unexpectedly. And to a
Great
similar
change.
effect, assists no
Great
longer
change.
enter
Just
the battlefield
it makes the game more
before the
consistent.
assist lands. Those-
This next thing that's covered in the video is
let's get into channel
they
select.
made the
Let's look at
pulse
the numbers of
fuse
selection.
just a toggle,
Yeah, so
in which you're gonna see pop up right now
So you
on the
notice
top
here,
side of the
at the
screen.
bottom,
You know, you want to
it says
zoom in,
pulse combo.
Chrome.
So any of us can hit this button.
Yeah,
You see
Raw,
at the
they do it
top.
for us anyways. Yeah. So the cool thing about this is you no longer have to sacrifice your fuse to get your auto combos, because I mean realistically, like if somebody's got auto combos, like they're learning the game. There's not a unfair advantage even at the highest level of play, because it's better to not have pulse combo. But it being a toggle where one player can have it on and then their friend that's experienced fighting games doesn't need it on is fantastic. Great
The little
change.
pulse icon appears, and that means that you have pulse enabled. And you know, just as a reminder, pulse, you know, will let you mash light, medium, or heavy.
Yeah.
And they'll go into like a short combo, and if you have the meter, it'll do a super.
Very, very bare bones. Obviously, it's not better than doing an actual combo, but it just makes it easier for people who are new that want to do cool shit as soon as possible. Now onto the new fuses, Juggernaut and Sidekick. What Juggernaut is, it's you're just one character and you're strong as hell, right? You have no assist, no secondary character, and Sidekick, which I like to call the little sister fuse. Your second character. Well, you know, I'll let Sean explain
A lot
it.
of y'all like asked us like, hey, I want to learn this game, but I kind of want to learn the support role. You know, I want to like help my friend, but maybe not like be the star of the show when I really haven't like taken the time to learn the game or learn a specific character and not have all that pressure on me. So we listened. And so, you know,
Fair,
we came up with this
fair.
fuse called Sidekick, where the character that you start with on point, they never switch out. You know, however, your friend can come in and perform an assist, but they don't switch out ever there. You know, they can also do charge assist. So you remember before I was like, hey,
Oh, the only ones that can
under
run.
Sidekick. It's time
Bound to
hold
Sidekick
the
fuse.
button. See the old charge assist.
It is totally fair. I love this idea because let's say you have a friend, brother, a sister, dad, uncle, whatever, and they're like, well, you know, I'm not really good at fighting games. You know, I'll just hold you back. Well, it's like, no, no, no. You know, there's this fuse where you just support. You don't have to actually go out in front and fight. And the reason why this is so powerful is they learn the game, right? Your friend, uncle, sister, whatever, will learn the game. That was my Discord
Already
notification,
hitting
sorry.
that synergy. Another cool
Not
thing
yours,
is,
that was mine.
You know, this sidekick can actually get up to 5 bars a meter.
Yeah, you get
So,
more
I have
meter.
a meter maxed
I
out
believe
now,
you get a
so it's 12.5
defense
bars.
and
For
damage
sidekick,
bonus
your point character
at
gets a little bit of a health,
30%
along with
health.
defensive boost once they're at 20%
Yeah.
or less health.
30%,
sorry,
right,
less
yeah,
health.
okay.
Apologies. The cool thing is that the assist can perform a super.
So the cool thing about Sidekick as well is you can still do super into super, but you don't tag, right? Not like Double Down where you stay as the other character. They just come in, they have to do the super. Your friend has to do the super. So again, it kind of teaches them the game, you know?
Dynamic save. It's a mouthful. It's a lot of words, alright? It's fuses sidekick.
So now they're talking about
So, they
how
actually start off with
they
Fury,
changed
because, of course, they
dynamic
don't have,
save
another
and they call
champion.
it break
The
now.
really cool thing about
And
Sidekick is
the
that
old
the assist
Fury fuse
character, this
is
the
now
champion, the person
part
using it,
of
can actually, like,
the break.
reduce the combo damage their point is receiving.
So
call it, like,
they
combo
merged them
stop
together and they got
internally.
rid of Fury Fuse and made it one
it
big
makes this
comeback
really cool
mechanic.
visual and sound effect, and you start to learn the timing of combos subconsciously when you're doing it, but you really feel like you can help out.
And then, oh, the
So
extra
basically
defense
you
modifier.
press any attack button the moment that
This is kind of hard to
opponent's
see.
attack lands.
I'll try to pause it. Let's see. Oh, okay. So what they're talking about here is that you see that little blue aura? Your sidekick, your little sister for the little sister fuse, uncle. If they hit, I assume any attack button. They don't specify. If they hit any attack button when an attack makes contact with you, you get damage reduction. So you see this blue aura, this blue circle. That means you did it properly. And now how hard is it? I don't know. But what I love about this is even though the sidekick isn't on the front plane, they're still actively doing something. They're not just watching you get blown up. You could be like, oh yeah, hit the buttons, you know, for the combo. And then they learn the combo timing subconsciously. Obviously, they have to know what button to hit. But still, they're subconsciously learning the game and they don't even realize it. So it's very engaging and super sick. I really like it. So now, when it comes to the Juggernaut fuse, you get 5 bars.
You start with
as
2
well.
meters, similar to Sidekick.
But Sean just said you start with 2 bars when you first get into the game.
A health boost, and you gain a defensive boost when you're at 30% or less health. You also don't have access to.
As you just saw, you can also do. You could You could solo dolo double super now. So you see Yasuo do his level 1, to his level 3, but Yasuo sucks, so it doesn't combo.
You have access to Fury Break at the round start, similar to Sidekick.
You have your comeback mechanic as soon as you start.
Cast self double down, meaning you can do super into super or super into ultimate.
Alright, so this next bit, which some of you probably notice, you know, during Juggernaut, why is Darius here? Why is Darius on the screen if I can't play him? The reason they have that, well, take it away, Clark.
The point and the assists cannot switch roles. However, during pre-round agency, so when it says ready, fight, we allow in all the fuses for players to switch by holding the team button, then it could do a quick tag. That's also the same case for Juggernaut.
Yeah, so let's say you get blown up one game and then you want to try the different character in the matchup. You're like, hey, you know, go in there. Or for Sidekick, let's say you're whoever's like, oh hey, let me try, you know, I feel comfortable, or this person looks around my skill level, whatever reason, let me get in there. And you're like, yeah, cool, okay, we don't gotta go back to character select screen, let me just tag you in right here. It saves time, very quality of life. Alright, now this next thing about Juggernaut might be broken. I mean, it's very character dependent, but I mean, just watch.
Tag launcher, or
look at this
champion to tag to, just hitting team causes this eject state, which forces.
Yeah, you can snap out. It costs a bar, according to them, but the fact that, let's say, character's low on health, you snap them out. You can mix them up. Obviously, it's very character dependent on what happens post snap.
Forces their point character out and forces that assist character.
Pretty strong.
Now that's their new point.
Pretty strong, man.
Like this, and you know they. Oh,
yeah.
There's a little.
Yeah. Clock's just
like, you know,
mad god like. That's why he blocked it. But
Clock's amazing. He got
you know,
that block,
pointing out what you could do, right? Showing the concept.
I won't be able to deal with that.
Yeah. Now,
Exactly.
in this
And,
next
Clock
showcase,
talked a little bit
they're gonna
about, like,
show
hard
the
knockdown,
example of
limiting
getting
some
the hard
options.
knockdown. So
we'll
you could
talk a
just
little
go
bit
for
more
the
about
mix
that.
instead of the meter,
We actually,
or
give you some
instead
options
of
when you
going
get knocked
for
down. So
anything
that you're not
else,
just, like,
right?
Stuck there and having to just guess for your life.
This is for the
time,
mix-up
over and
instead of the
over
meter or
again.
the
And
damage.
literally just stuck in the forever vortex off of everything. So
In this next showcase, they're gonna show what happens if you don't go for the hard knockdown, right? So this is gonna showcase why it's so important to go for the hard knockdown. A lot of the time, going for the hard knockdown will be preferred because it's virtually a free mix-up. You can force your opponent to wake up how you want them. You don't have to go for the hard read of catching their
you have a
roll.
bunch of options now.
You can roll forward.
Hold forward and roll forward.
You roll
As
back.
you saw, this does go
Super
through.
simple, just hold back or
Be a
forward.
way to get you out the corner. You can also hold backwards and roll back. And then you still.
Very straightforward. That's pretty much all there is to it. And your final option, which has been in the game since the first Alpha Lab, is the get up attack. So
And that's just like holding
if you
out
have a
as
hard
opposed to-
read, like, oh, I know they're gonna hit a button on my wake up, you know, I think it was a special S1, S2 that you would hold to get it.
Yeah, we were seeing.
I can't think
a
they
lot of,
changed that.
folks just really reduce
You could
all the
also do it
decisions
while
on wake up
tech
just
rolling
by,
as well,
you know, getting some
which
nice
they're gonna
umbrella
show
shield
here.
and doing an armored swing, and even like beating get up
Yeah.
attack was pretty.
Arbor
pretty
used to be
rough.
get up attack,
We'll
but
talk a
I'm
little
glad
about
they
assisting
changed that.
as well. And so some of the assists are.
Another decently big change to assist is they made them slower. They made them 5 frames
So
slower.
the assist that comes in, it went from 10 frames to 15 frames.
You
Just
know,
allowed
still
for a little
really
bit more
fast,
interaction as well.
But the fact that they no longer
So
run
as
full
they were like,
screen
I wouldn't have been able to block
and
it.
they are
It's telling me
slower
right now.
is a
Yeah,
huge
so
change.
let's talk about the feedback surrounding play.
In this segment, they just talk about the change of dynamic save to break. Shorter name, rolls off the tongue easier.
To combo from.
They say it's easier to combo off of blocking break,
You also get 50%.
but they don't show it. I cannot believe they did that. You know, we just gotta take the word for it. I believe them, but like, come on, man.
Break meter after a champion dies.
Yeah, you get half of your
Well,
break
we
meter
saw and
back
heard
when you
that,
lose a
like, you know, how
character.
hard it was to make a comeback, so even when folks were evenly skilled, it's hard to come back. As a result, we removed Fury as a fuse and now have a new system called Fury Break. It shows up in some of the new fuses. So when a champion dies, you gain 50% break meter and it becomes Fury Break, which gives you a 25% damage boost and a 25% damage reduction.
Yeah, comebacks is still going to be very difficult, even with this buff. I mean, it's nice. Before, there wasn't really a big comeback factor. It was just your assist having a wrong assist when they perished. But now the fact that you have more damage, you have more defense, you can dash cancel it, like, it gives you a little bit more of a chance of a comeback.
You can activate this the same way as you activate break by pressing, S1 or S2 plus the team button. Of course, if you're playing duos, then your duo does that for you.
Same button input still.
So
they talk about the activations of it here. When you do it offensively or defensively, it lasts 10 seconds. And of course, you get the dash cancel like you did from the old Fury fuse. So like right here, this stomp that Yasuo does, he would only be able to go back into stance. But because Fury lets you dash cancel anything, I think except supers, I don't think you could dash cancel super. So anything special, get up attack, you can dash cancel, right? So he dash cancels here and does heavy or medium. I think that's medium, but they flip out because the hit stun was high. But you could use it as for pressure. You can use it for mix-ups when you're by yourself, and that dash cancel costs 5 seconds of your Fury. So use it wisely. It lasts 10 seconds defensively and offensively, and if you use it in neutral, it lasts 20.
When you do it offensively, similarly,
look for which payout you want to go for.
You get those same bonuses for defense.
Yeah, Clock's gonna say here about the neutral.
Actually lasts for 20 seconds. So
20 seconds.
20 seconds. So, but that means you can't use it in a combo, and that also means you can't use it to save.
That's a big trade-off, but the reward is huge. Or dash cancels.
You can dash cancel, and it removes 5 seconds off the
they're
clock.
talking about the dash
Fury
cancel
Break time,
specifically
rather.
here.
And so I'll go ahead and show you. I have it on. You can dash cancel any special or
2,
normal, as long as you have
3,
have
and
it
then
left on hit or
could have had another
which
one
is
if did
really
it faster, but
so
yeah,
I'll
probably
show you, like,
not.
some fun
But
stuff.
3 is
We'll see
still a
if
lot.
I can block this.
And then here's a showcase of what you can do with it.
Oh my!
Got hit immediately on the first mix-up.
So
Yeah, I would block the second part.
there's a lot.
They changed the way push block works, as Clark's gonna explain right now.
So now it no longer costs a bar of super meter.
Yeah.
Now it's performed by pressing the team button while you're blocking. And if you are the assist, then the assist is the one responsible.
Yeah,
for
I think they
the
did
push
this
block. We
because
generally call this push
one,
assist.
forward plus
So this
light
shares the
medium.
cooldown with your assist, so
You know,
it also
it
allows
was
you
hard
to
for some
anti-tag
people, I
after the
guess.
assist.
But also it costs a bar of meter. This doesn't cost any meter, it just costs your
So it's
assist.
much more available
So they
now.
do go on
You have
cooldown.
to make a choice between, calling your assist,
But it's
defensive
free.
pressure versus defense. And if you're playing with a duo, your duo is responsible for protecting you
Oh,
from
your
pressures.
duo has to
Yeah,
do
so,
it?
you know,
Okay,
you gotta-
makes
you
it more
gotta help
interactive if you're with a
instead
duo.
of getting shot off of.
Okay.
Well, let's see.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Keep the party going.
Yeah, your duo better be awake.
So air tech, we saw a lot of combos.
Actually, I have a concern about that. What if you get happy birthdayed and the point character's blocking, but your assist is getting beat up? If there's no normal push block, what do you do? I mean, I guess we'll find out in the first or second alpha lab, huh? Now they're gonna talk about air teching. Before, you would tech in the air by holding an attack button or a direction, I forget. But now you don't have to hold anything to tech, which is for the newer players.
Just like jumping
I
in there,
guess.
like for a long time.
So what we've
Like,
done
just
to
watch.
combat that is you can opt out of the automatic air tech by holding down.
Oh, interesting.
It's an
So we
interesting
wanna prevent any
change,
sort of, like,
having to
checkmate
hold
situations
down.
and give you another option to protect against
I'm more so of a
defense.
fan of older games or other games where like you just don't hold anything top for no tech. You know, like it seems a little. It makes sense holding down if you think about it because you're falling down. And then if you hold forward, you go forward. If you hold back, you go back or whatever. You know, so I guess I can see why they did it, but I would have preferred just not holding anything from older games. You know.
Of course, if I'm holding down and
They're about to talk about how they heavily nerfed
Another one
combo
that we
link.
focused on was
Just
reducing
listen to
combo
this.
length. combos were too long or felt too long. We made a lot of adjustments. With
As a
the
Marvel
just, like,
player,
shortening them and the feel in general. So for one, you can no longer call assists after a tag launcher. You can also no longer tag after performing a double down super or supers with both champions
Makes
in
sense.
one combo. As an example, in Alpha Lab 1, we were seeing combos with multiple double downs in them, and
Ari.
it was taking a very long time. We also reduced hit pause across the board, which
My one complaint about this, and maybe some of you will agree, maybe some of you will disagree. I think if you get a tag launcher with your point character when your assist is available, I think you should have it after the tag launcher. But if you call your assist and they're on cooldown, or you handshake and you get the hit, I get it. But I think it should have been there if it was an all natty hit. Thoughts? Thoughts about you like subbing and all that good stuff. Thoughts?
mainly just how long it takes.
And then they
that
talk
health
about
to
how they
regenerate.
slightly
We made
buffed great health
at a speed
regeneration.
which just allows players to get back.
It looks
reacting
like,
faster and make
I don't
a
know,
decision where it's
10%
like, hey,
faster,
this player's gonna
but you don't
fall
want it
in
to be
freeze,
too
like,
strong,
Let me get back out
you
there.
know?
And we'll do, like,
Oh,
push
this
block
part
with
right
the team
here,
button.
Sean's talking
There's
about
a lot to do.
that
You
assist.
accidentally get KO'd early.
So if you notice
Just like
here,
push block with the team button.
this
There's a
super
lot to
assist
do.
now costs a bar of meter. Okay, so now you have the choice between doing. Hold on, wait for it. Look at the bar. Oh, I'm covering it. I'm so sorry. Look at Echo's bar, right? It's at 1 on the bottom right, and then it goes down to 0. You know, so you can opt for the super assist, which costs meter, makes sense, or the regular assist. It gives you both options now.
Use
Yeah.
this,
You do it by doing down tag, so it's not something you could do by accident.
Be like, oh my God, you should have saved it for the next if you call your
I like this. If you hit the assist,
That's a 7.
it takes them way longer
It's a long time
to come back from the cooldown. Like Echo's he's just laying there. He perished again. He's just. So I like this change. If you hit the assist, it's like, okay, you're not gonna have them for even longer. So now neutral's gonna be harder for you.
This is my regular super jump right here.
Yeah, this super jump drifting that they talk about here,
Give that same distance
it's
to my
kind of
same
hard to
attack.
notice
You
looking
can
at the
also
game.
hold down
Maybe I'll
when you
feel
super
it
jump,
when I get my
sort of,
hands on it.
yeah,
And they're
affect
doing
the-
this
affect
because they want to adjust
So we
air
just want to
movement.
keep
But I want them to stop beating around the bush
agency over your
about how they're approaching air movement. Either give me good air movement options or just don't give me anything at all. This is very
a little bit more
middleman.
agency over your jump.
You know, this is like the Dragon Ball
Yeah,
float,
we had a
but
lot
Dragon
of
Ball
work that we
float
wanted to do in order to
is
improve clarity
better.
and excitement, whether you're playing.
So another thing they talk about is how people were confused when characters were too close to each other, I guess. As you notice, the collision pill is bigger. But for me personally, this wouldn't really make too much of a difference for me. Maybe I'm just blind. As you can see, there's a clear distance gap between the two of them. Like, look at Echo's foot on the left. It's making contact with Ari's heel. On the right, it's spaced out a little bit. This, I didn't notice this, and I probably still won't notice this, and they're probably still going to just be mixed together. But if it's easier for other people, then cool. Happy for you.
That way,
They changed the assist
easier to see in the
cooldown
middle than it
location.
is on the
I
side.
still think the assist cooldown should also be on the character portrait. I think both of them. It'd be nice.
We changed the animation for it and slowed it down. Yeah.
So here they made it to where you can't handshake tag when the assist gets hit anymore. But I think if you try to tag into your teammate and they get hit, you should be punished for a bad decision. They said it caused frustration and confusion for people. But, you know, I think if you make a bad decision, you should be punished for it. It's not my fault you tagged there. I didn't make you tap. You're the one in control of the buttons you pressed. But now it's like, oh, okay, you got hit. I didn't tag. I can now save my assist. I don't like this change, but I can't do much about it. So now they have a bad block indicator, which I think is a good idea, but it's not executed well, and I'll show you what I mean.
Just stand, let me hit you with the normal low, just so you can see the
got it.
difference. So just stand there.
Yeah.
So let me see. I could. So these gold sparks mean you got hit low, but the average player is not gonna know that.
And then this is me. Yeah,
Okay.
walking around.
See little
What
yellow-
does that mean
yellow
to
shards,
a new player?
And
They're not
same
gonna
thing
know.
with
And then same thing when they get hit overhead. I think there needs to be a text indicator over here saying, oh, overhead, or got hit low, or like maybe have a little image with like some silhouette getting bonked in the head when they get hit overhead, with like saying overhead, and then with, you know, similar concept when they get hit low, because this doesn't mean anything. You show this to somebody that's never played a fighting game and they're like, okay, what does that mean? So I think it's a good concept, but it's not executed well. Maybe in the final build they'll have it. I'm not sure. Oh, okay, this next part I was asking and begging for them to do. So big thing about team fighters is the visual vomit that's on the screen when things are happening, right? And the way parry worked in the first version of the game was you parry something, there's still stuff all over the screen, you can't see what's happening, and then if you mash parry, you don't get parry again. Or if you're parrying a projectile, right, parry, and then the opponent comes and hits you with the physical hit, and you parry the physical hit, but you thought you're gonna parry the projectile, and then you try to parry the physical hit, you whiff a parry, and now you lose a bar of meter, which they're gonna show, and then you get punished. So now the camera pans, the game slows down a bit. It's not like Street Fighter perfect parry, but it slows down just a bit, right? It lets you acknowledge what's happening. You know, it's a moment. It causes a moment, or an outplay, like they refer to it here.
So yeah, we slowed it down. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's great that they're doing this, because in games like this, sometimes it's just hard to see what's happening with all this shit on the screen.
And beyond.
Again, it's great. The game slows down, the camera pans, it gets dark a little bit. Like the moment focuses on you and your opponent, and it lets your opponent know they fucked up, and you're like, I'm so sick nasty. Look at my character parrying. I'm the best. I'm number one. Here they talk about how there's an indicator for punishing retreating guards. So there's like a glass shatter effect, you know, like it's more impactful, right? You're kind of just stuck there for a second. But this is what really, you know, throws me off a little bit. Here you have the indication, retreating guard, punish. You know, it's over here. As you can see, it's right here. But this isn't there for the overheads or the lows. So again, I think they're gonna implement it, because you have this. You have a retreating guard, like they're gonna know, oh, I got punished trying to retreating guard because I got hit low. It's there, it makes sense. This makes sense, but the other stuff gonna be confusing. That's pretty much it for the system mechanic changes. I think some of them are good. I think some of them need a little bit more work. Some of them I didn't like hacking or no assist after a natty tag launcher, but I'm hopeful. You know, there's only 10 characters on launch, which I covered a little bit. I'll show you guys where they confirmed that. But so far, what do you guys think? You know, I think the characters look great. Long for them to get them out, but if they stay consistent when the game launches, I'm hopeful. So you're probably like, Cloud, how do you know the game's only launching with 10 characters? Well, thanks to Sajam for doing like a little interview-ish with Unconquerable Sean, you know, one of the lead designers of the game. He actually says it here, so let me play the clip for you. Also, this skin's gonna make back all the money they've spent on the game.
We're gonna release this game with 10 champions. So I want to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
I know it seems like a low number. I know, trust me.
It is.
You know, we hear it.
For Attack Fighter.
But honestly, we'd rather just get the game out to y'all to play ASAP instead of keeping it in the oven until we have some number higher of champions. Because
So the thing about this, you know, a lot of people are giving them flack for it. Understandable. The game's been known about for what, 5, 6, 7, something like that. But you guys got to remember, and I'll big cam this. They scrapped the game in the middle of development, make it a 2v2 fighter. I'm not necessarily defending them. I'm just explaining, like, hey, they had this concept of a 1v1 game. If you want to put up the pictures from that they used, I don't know, 2019 or something like that. And then they scrapped that entire idea and they made it a 2v2 fighter. So of course, you know, you start from the ground up again. It's gonna take a lot of time. Not really defending them, I'm just explaining what happened. That's what happened. Just think about that for a second before you give them shit. And there's just some other small stuff to go through. You know, the battle pass that they have. They show you all the chromos you can get, the titles, the things like that. You know, some of these are pretty cool. You know, some of them they're alright. Well, what is it, like the green and black one? I think it's like for character mastery that you can get is super cool. But hey man, free colors, can't really complain, you know. This Braum outfit, I know no lore about the games, okay? The KO screen is unique, as expected. Here's some battle pass, or some marketplace stuff, you know? A lot of summer themed beach stuff. So if this game comes out during the summer, it would make sense because they have beach themed outfits. Like, look at all this beach themed stuff. Why would people buy this during the winter? Or why would they try to sell this during the winter if they could have just made a winter themed set, you know? That's so cool. I'm sorry. Just fighting games don't do this. So I mean, I play other games like Overwatch, and I played Apex, and like, you know, they have like the unique outros and the intros or whatever. But like, fighting games, I don't think I've ever had this. Again, this is gonna make back all the money they spent to develop this game. So, and before you're like, well, why do they have all these costumes and stuff? You gotta remember, it's two separate teams that are working on like the gameplay, and then that are working on just like costumes and stuff like that. Easier to make a costume once you have the character designed. I don't really think I mean, it's just the additional skins that they show. Again, I know no lore, but they look sick. We've already seen this one in the previous Alpha Lab. Yeah. Sands of Time. My man is dripped. It's all pretty sick. You know, looking forward to like what else they have cooking. I think that's pretty much it. Right? There's the gameplay and stuff. There's the Jinx breakdown, but I'll do that for a separate video because it's a lot more time consuming. I'm already like at 35 minutes, you know, 36. So, what do you guys think of the game? What do you think where it stands? How do you feel that they're only launching with 10 champions, as they said? Let me know. Let me know, because I'm hopeful. I'm sure they're gonna rev up the content. You know, like now that they have their core gameplay, it's gonna be way easier to design characters. That's the hardest part. How do you design a character if you don't have your core mechanics figured out? Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys April 18th to 20th. Oh yeah, April 18th to 20th, the beta. That's when the beta's coming out. I think it's Easter weekend. So maybe they're like, hey, this is a good weekend because people are going to be off. But anyways, pull up to the stream. Pull up to the YouTube. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be streaming every day. Probably try to do 12-hour, 16-hour streams. We'll see. Thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you guys then. And I'll see you into a KO. Bye!